Hello, everyone. Greetings, travelers. Welcome to One More Cup of Coffee and Culture's Genshin Impact lore podcast. I'm your host for today, JSide, from the Genshin Guys podcast, but you can also call me Josh. So today I'm here with my co host, Gina. Gina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I just had a nice cup of green tea.
Oh, nice. Yes, green tea in the morning or afternoon or what have you. Always good to have. So not only are we here with Gina today, but we are also here in this episode of One More Cup of Coffee with our fellow Genshin content creator, Subutai. So you may have seen Subutai's works, such as Genshin Impact, the movie unofficial trailer, or the Beware the Heavenly Principles story trailer. Very, very cool works, which we will talk about and dive deeper into a little bit later in the episode. How are you doing today, Subutai? Subutai? Can I call you
Uh,
Subutai?
yeah, Subu's fine. Thanks for inviting me. I'm doing great, and I'm very happy to be here.
All right, thank you so much. So, before we get started into our content today, the managers of One More Cup of Coffee would like to thank Soph CQ and Reyes for making the Genshin Impact chibis and the podcast stage. You can find Soph CQ at sophcq.card.co, and you can find Reyes at ILT Art on Instagram for commissions. Both links can be found in the chat. And as for YouTube viewers, you can find the links in the description. So, we will post those a little bit later then. Yes, before we get started into our main content for the day, I usually like to start off a little bit with getting to know each other. So, yeah, first, Subu, if you don't mind, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, who are you? Where are you based? What do you like doing on your off time?
Cool. Yeah, sure. I'm a producer and editor, video producer and video editor, and I've been professional for about 5 or 6 years. And then last year, I decided I wanted to move into gaming and specifically trailers and cinematic editing. So I made one Genshin trailer just as a sort of
Mm-hmm.
test to sort of see if I could do it, and then it got to the top of the subreddit, got like
Boom.
200,000 views or something in a few days, and then I was like, "Oh, I should do more of this. People seem to like it." So I pulled like several all-nighters and released another trailer 2 weeks later, which is insane,
Hmm.
by the way, because they take, like 100 hours to make or something.
Right.
So then I released another one, it also did well, and I was like, "Hey, I should try and, like, make a living out of this and stuff," and I was like, "Maybe I can do this." So then I to went full on content creator and started making like a proper YouTube like brand and all that stuff, and kept making more videos. And so I've released Kenria Rising,
Mhm.
and I released Beware the Heavenly Principles. And
Yeah.
over the course of like that sort of 6 month period, I learned a lot, and um, I sort of made contacts and wanted to improve and start bringing in my own custom animation. So it wasn't just me editing game footage, also me creating stuff. So I'm getting more and more people, and I'm looking very excited. I'm excited for the future, in because I think I will be. I'm aiming to be one of like the top sort of Genshin content creators in terms of creating like animations and stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think I'd safe to say that a lot of people who are listening to this podcast have seen some of your work before. Like I said, we're gonna dive deeper into that a little in the second half of the podcast, talking about your like production and like how like you said 100 hours. Wow, like a lot of people who do not do video production don't really do editing, don't really know what it takes to like source all of this like first of all footage. um, I think it'd be a really, really enlightening conversation to have a little bit later. So, but before we jump into talking about that lore specifically, I mean, well, wait, your lore, Supertai's lore, the
My lore, yeah.
yeah, the Supertai lore.
Yeah.
Before we talk about that, let's talk a little bit about Genshin. So, now you say you made the jump over to gaming. You started with basically Genshin, started
I
doing all
started
this
with
stuff.
Genshin, yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've been a Genshin fan since 1.0. I started playing 1.0. So yeah, I've been here since the beginning, you know?
Okay, perfect. So then, so my question for you, as like sort of an introduction for us, is like, what is it about Genshin Impact that draws you in the most? The most is it? Do you have like a favorite story or lore from Genshin, like that really, inspires you? Anything like that?
What draws me in the most about Genshin is the world building and just how deep and wide the lore is when it comes to each region and more importantly the overall world structure. They've developed it very well with all the reading you can do with the books and
Mm-hmm.
the world quests. I think that is what draws me in more, perhaps more than for most people. I would say Genshin is a game about character focused game where like they're like, oh, I have my favorite character, I pull this for pull that. But for me, it's the overall world lore, like the structure of the world, and
Yeah.
questions are what interest me more than answers. I prefer questions to answers because um, you can talk about questions and you can discuss questions, but once you have an answer, that's it. It's finished. So questions are very interesting, and Genshin's lore asks a lot of questions, so many questions, and they when they introduce a new area, they don't tend to answer more questions than new questions that they bring in. So I love all the questions. I love everything to do with Kanria and the world structure, especially. Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Um, Gina, do you want to say something?
I just want to say I agree. I think the lore and the world building is really amazing. It's super fun to dive into, and I love spending hours a little bit frustrated, but mostly fascinated by all the new questions that pop up with every update.
I
I
like
think
that. A
it's I think
little
it's
bit
very unique as
frustrated,
well.
mostly fascinated. Yeah,
I
it
think
is unique, right?
it's very unique. I don't know any other games that are as popular as Genshin, certainly, that are open world and also sort of based on Gnosticism.
Mhm.
I think I when it comes to mind, there's one game from on the Xbox 360 like 10 or 12 years ago called El Shaddai that does like Gnosticism, but Genshin is pretty much the only game that does stuff based on Gnosticism and this sort of angels and like the true God and and all that stuff, and it's all linked in with the lore, with the idea of like the allogenes and the primordial one and that. So yeah, but even though I
Mhm.
say I love the lore, I wouldn't call myself a lore expert by any means. I am a lore enjoyer, not a lore theorist or a lore
Right,
expert
right.
for sure.
Yeah, which so I mean earlier you mentioned like how people play the game for their favorite characters. Speaking of favorite characters, who is your favorite playable character and why?
I
So
wonder.
if I don't answer Nilu, people are
You'll
going to like
They're gonna
crucify me
feel
on a
betrayed.
stick, right?
Oh yeah.
But honestly, like I Nilu is my brand and I like Nilu a lot, but she's not my favorite character because I don't really have a single favorite character. I have a bunch of favorite characters, I would say. Like Nilu, obviously, but also characters like I mean, you got to say the Archons because they have the most. I mean, the most story, right? You got to say the Archons. All the Archons are my favorite, and
I mean you can say the Archons. I wouldn't
you
say
know
you
what?
you have to say the
I'm
Archons.
actually gonna say if I have to pick one character, I'm gonna pick Dainsleif. Dainsleif is my
Oh.
favorite
Ooh,
character. There, I've said it.
Oh, there you go. You're
very brave of you.
one of those day one Dainslift mains, right?
Yeah,
uh,
I love characters who have been punished and are like dark and broody, but not in an edgy way like Zhao. Like, in a
Ooh,
but sorry, Zhao fans.
what Zhao
But
fans are like, what are
yeah,
you saying?
I'm roasting you, but
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I like
Oh
punished
man.
characters, but ones who are like cool and not Zhao,
Wow, wow. Like I love characters who are punished, cool, and then also not Shao. So just,
not Zhao. Yeah.
yeah, just like yeah,
You know what? I
that's my
think I
kind of
would
character.
really like Zhao if he was on an adult male model and not the teen model.
Okay,
I'm just gonna.
that's
yeah,
kind of
that's
how I
valid.
feel about Sino. I feel like Sino, I love Sino, but I feel like he would be my actual favorite character if he was like the tall male model. Like I just,
Yeah, me
you know what I
too.
mean? Like
Actually,
there are
they did
characters like
Steino
that.
and Zhao dirty for sure by giving them teen male models.
I don't know.
But
Like a lot of people like it, but for me, it's like it's not my cup of tea.
well,
Uh,
we are very nice. We're not the target audience for those characters though, so that's okay.
exactly. So it hits who it has to hit. Oh man,
Yeah.
Shao fans rising up in the chat already. We gotta move on to the we gotta move on to the next topic.
Could you
Um.
imagine? Could you imagine if Dainsleif had a teen male
Oh
body instead of?
no.
Could you
Okay.
imagine that?
Yeah. Maybe people can feel like what guys. Okay, people who are fans like of those like short the middle sized male models. Like, what if Kaya was a teen male model? Would you still would you still would he still be as interesting? I don't know. Maybe like, who is this kid? What is he doing? All right. Anyway, so
He'd be
um,
pretty cocky for a
yeah.
teen, I think.
Oh man. So yeah, I think that's great. So that's funny though. I was actually 1000% expecting you to say Nilu, but here we are in 2023 in the
Surprise!
present timeline. Yeah. Maybe in some different timeline you're a Nilu fanatic, um but yeah, so thanks for sharing. We definitely, have a lot to talk about today. We're gonna dive into like I know one of the topics we said we would talk about is like the truth of this world. Now you talked about the lore that's hidden behind the books, the lore that is the world building that they do through the story, not just through the main story, but through the world as well and the exploration. So and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about before we go into the movie production stuff, we'll probably talk a little bit about Fontaine as well. So Gina, if you would go ahead and take it away.
Oh, I'm more than happy to talk about lore with a captive audience. So, Subutai, you mentioned before that you like talking about the truth of the world or like exploring it. How familiar are you with like the lore surrounding it and the clues that we have so far?
I would say I'm like an 8 out of 10 level of knowledge. I think in the sort of overall world structure. Like I regularly watch the videos about who is the primordial one, who is Paimon, the firmament, all that stuff.
All
What
those fun
Canria
things.
doing? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna uh, briefly touch on some topics and you tell me whether or not you're familiar. So,
Okay.
how the truth of the world relates to the battle pass.
The battle pass. Well, I'm aware of it in the sense that the people theorize that the snake is supposed to represent. I've seen theories about it. Yeah, I know about it. Like they were sent from. Is the snake the Night Mother? I'm not
You
sure.
know,
And the Genesis Pearl and all that stuff is supposed to be like it's been a while since I saw theories about that, but it's
okay,
because it's been there since the start of the game. But
it's been here from the beginning. And I'm sure there's some people in our chat who maybe aren't super familiar, so I'm happy to do a brief little recap. So, every single time we get a new update, we rewatch the Battle Pass trailer. And in it explicitly, it mentions that there's the pearl inside of like an oyster shell, and then like a black snake with one red eye and one purple eye comes up and like looks evilly at the camera angle, I guess.
is the snake King Ermin? Is that the snake now, or is
You
the
know,
snake someone else?
there's a lot of theories going on around about the snake. Some people have said the Night Mother. I don't necessarily agree with that. Gun to my head, I would say it's the Sinner. The Sinner seems like a potential snake. But
Yes, the Sinner. Yes, when you asked me what my favorite character was, can I change that to the Sinner? The Sinner is now my favorite character.
Well,
Josh
turns
did
out
specify playable.
I did
Oh,
say
okay.
playable,
I
and
said
even
playable.
Dainsleif isn't technically playable yet, but
Oh,
we're just gonna
we
assume
know
that
that
he's playable. Yeah.
it's been confirmed that Dainsleif will be playable. We have very little knowledge about the Sinner so far.
Yeah, that's what makes him appealing, actually.
I mean,
Just how
playing as a sinner would be
mysterious
kind of
the
cool.
Sinner
Like,
is.
just be like a floating giant crystal that absorbs energy from around you. Like, that sounds like just you go to like fight a bunch of hilichurls and they just bow to you. Like, that sounds pretty legit to
That's
me.
very cool.
I think it's fun because he's kind of like Venom, in that he can like whisper into Clothtar's ear and be like, "Ah, yes, I'm the Sinner. I know the truth of this world. I can grant you power." And he's like, "Please, who else can hear this? Why am I the only one?" Okay,
We are
fine, whatever.
sinners.
Give me the power.
Kind of like Sauron from Lord of the Rings, in that he's scarier as like a non-humanoid force of nature.
Oh my god, it's totally like Sauron.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the snake could be the sinner. You think?
I think the snake could be the sinner, and then, of course, with the Genesis pearl, serving as also kind of like a metaphor for the hidden truth and the hidden knowledge of the world, and that's what uh, the older princess set out to find.
I see. So the Genesis pearl could be the knowledge. I remember someone saying that in Albedo, Albedo's lore, like Ryandotter, his creator, and one of the witches of the Hexen Circle, they found the heart of the heart of a god. They found in while they were doing expeditions into like Irminsul or something, right? So I remember seeing a theory that the Genesis pearl could be this heart of a god, and I thought that was quite compelling because then there's an actual MacGuffin that the protagonist could find at some point, rather than just being a non-corporeal object.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then it's funny you bring up Albedo because Albedo's lore also pertains to the truth of the world because that's his final assignment from Rheindotter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like go find the truth of the world. See you later.
So, like, are they gonna they're gonna have to bring Albedo back then for like the Canria chapter? Surely,
They have to. If
yeah,
they don't, I will riot.
they have to.
The fact that Albedo's story is like locked behind limited time quests is kind of crazy to me still because it seems so important, you know?
Yeah, the entire human primordial project,
Yeah.
which sounds like it's just straight out of Evangelion, but that'd be very cool.
And yet somehow it's not.
It's not. Well, they've shown with the. Oh, can I talk about? Can I mention the Fontaine trailer? No.
No, 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 you're not. I'm just kidding. Yeah, of course.
How dare
I'm
you talk?
just
Yes,
saying
of course.
with the
This is your podcast.
reintroduction of Child, with the reintroduction of Child, they've shown they are willing to bring characters back into the story.
Oh
In
yes. Oh yeah, I love that.
so there is hope that Albedo will be relevant and come back again in a future
Uh,
Archon quest. You know,
yeah.
specifically
I
in a
mean,
future region's Archon quest, even though he's not from that region.
though it does
He can
worry me in a
travel.
way that like because Albedo's main story was locked behind those limited time quests, like and all that stuff that like because like Child was in the Archon quest, right? But Albedo wasn't in the Archon quest. So
Hmm.
would they pull Albedo into the Archon quest because of his lore from the limited time quests? You know what I mean? Like, or would they
Yeah,
like
I
how much
see what
knowledge
you
do
mean.
they expect you to have? You know what I mean? Before starting something like that. So
It would be quite confusing for a lot of people who didn't do that. So I think, but they have shown with Scaramouche that they will just, you know,
oh, that's true.
bring him
Well,
back,
true.
bring
I mean, they
someone
didn't
in.
really do anything with Scaramouche. They were just like, this guy is Scaramouche, and then it like
This guy is Scaramouche. Well, they could just be like, this guy is Albedo. He's
that's
incredibly
true.
important,
No,
and
well, I mean,
also,
like in the limited time quest, they said this guy's Scaramouche, and then they brought him into the story. But then with Albedo, they
yes.
told his whole story in the limited time quest, and then now it's like he just shows up in the Archon quest, like, hey, you remember me? I'm that guy you did all that stuff with, and the new players are like, huh, what?
Well,
I've never
you've got
seen
to ask
him.
yourself. You've got to ask yourself if we do have a large story segment about
Hmm.
the Hexen Circle, and them as a group, and also about Camria's destruction.
Hmm.
Presumably, Ryandotter will be a very large part of that story, and
I
Hmm.
she's
mean,
inherently connected with Albedo. So surely Albedo would be there if she is introduced at some point.
That's
I
a good point.
hope she is. It's crazy that she invented Rift Hounds and then Durin and was still like, no, I can do better.
This is pure copium, but like if we don't, I really want like a full Canria flashback, like playable story quest
Oh,
where
so no, no, exactly on that point. Exactly on that point. Like, I don't know. Have you played Honkai Impact Third? Like, how much have you
no,
ever
I
seen it?
have watched
No.
your theories that include it, but that's my
Okay.
extent
Well,
of it.
I'm starting to play this now, and I'm like trying to understand like the lore behind it. But there is um, there is something that is in that game that is present in that game that I feel like could easily be brought to Genshin. And I've mentioned this before, but in Honkai Impact Third, you're playing through a story, right? You're playing through the entire story, and then on the side, parallel, like this other mode that they came out with a couple years ago, called a post Honkai Odyssey, and it's even though the story's not over yet, it's a side story with completely different gameplay 5 years into the future or 8 years into the future or 10 years into the future, something like that. It actually skips, like, during this story. But it's essentially a
Bizarre.
second game in the game that's, like, a different time. And so you build up the characters and you do everything completely separately from the main game. So part of me feels like because they have done this, that they are dropping us 500 years ago lore bits here and there, so that one day we will eventually just straight up play as our sibling 500 years ago. Like that's what
That
I
would
feel
be
like is gonna
awesome.
happen,
That
right?
would be a
That would be
fantastic.
so cool.
That would be a fantastic way of exploring Canria and Rheindotter and what happened
Right?
exactly.
They
Fantastic.
kind of like make it they kind of make it so that um it's really important, but they don't explain enough of it. And like I'm wondering, like, will they just tell us? Some people were speculating like the anime could be like the 500 years ago. I'm like, no, no, no. That's so important. I really honestly don't believe they would like put that really important backstory into the anime when they could just
I
let
mean,
us
if they
play
did,
through it.
I'd be happy. Just I'd still be happy if it wasn't the anime. But
Yeah, I mean, no, no, no. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see that because like the Archon War being animated would be so cool. But I feel
you
like
just know that it's going to rehash
yeah,
them once that Archon quest, right?
right.
Like
That's what
it's
it feels
over.
like.
Just give up hope now. Just give up.
Oh man, I saw the memes from the 4.0 live stream that were like, so hey, Dawe, are you forgetting something? Huh? Oh no, I guess I don't remember, so it must not be important. And it's just like Genshin anime when like like they didn't announce anything about it in 4.0, and I was like, nothing, not a date or estimate or anything. But yeah, anyway, I
That's
just
because
wanted to
anime
say that.
takes a long time to
Oh
make. It does. It takes a long time. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm not surprised.
right. Especially the quality that Ufotable does.
Yeah,
But
exactly. So yeah, what were we talking about again? The truth of the world or Canria?
yeah, and then
Yes.
we were talking about Fontaine actually, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
No, I just brought that
Font.
up. I brought that up because Child's back.
right.
But we can move on to Fontaine now if you want. But
To Gina.
Uh, yeah, we could do that. Minch-san, could you bring it up, please? Uh, we
on
have some
screen,
on screen, please.
there it
Uh,
is.
ooh, beautiful.
Ah, yes. So
But
here's the image of the firmament. Is that
Okay,
right?
lower people.
Lord, people, get in the chat.
Explain this image to me, Gina, please.
Okay, so this is the within the lore community the widely accepted theory of the shape of Tavat. You know, sky is fake, as we learned in the 1.1 event. And so the chambers in heaven would be Celestia. The firmament is what it's standing on. It's also possibly what we saw crumbling down before us at the very beginning when you're choosing your traveler.
Yeah.
The earth or shoal is just the actual land, and then there's a very fun theory. Fontaine is French for fountain, and if you look underneath the mountains, it says fountains of the deep. Ooh, and then that leads into the Great Deep, which sounds like a meme, but is just the name of it. Uh, and so there's theories that, especially with Fontaine, you being able to like dive way, way down into the uh, deep dark down, that we'll be able to explore more of the world and find out more about the structure of the world.
So where does the spiral abyss come into this?
Where does what come into this?
Where does the spiral abyss come into this diagram? Because when you go through the abyss, you're going down in floors, right? But yet at the end you see the moon and it seems like you're going upwards. So is the spiral abyss going like in the diagram? Is it going through the Sheol, the pillars of the earth, or is it actually going upwards towards the chambers in the heaven? That's my question.
I think it's going up through window portals or through mountains.
I see. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
it's pretty vague, the spiral abyss thing, but it is very interesting, like to think about where that could be going.
Have you
Hmm.
guys ever
And
seen the beginning of the wish animation when you wish for a character?
right.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked at the first few frames?
Oh, I haven't slowed it down, I guess.
Well,
Is
I'm
there something
pretty.
interesting there?
Yeah, if you wanna, maybe we could get that on screen at some point. But if you look at the first few frames of the wish animation, you see a hole in the firmament, which is fascinating. Like it's
Ooh.
implied that the you know when the wishes are stars, right, coming through basically through the firmament, which is quite interesting.
Oh, where there's just like a hole that appears in
There's
the
just a
clouds.
hole. There's just a hole in the sky where you can see space. Like like in is it Taniki Hollow in like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
most recent desert region? There's just a gaping hole in space. It's pretty much just like that, but you can only see it for like 3 frames. So yeah, that's something for our viewers or you guys to investigate after we're done here if you're
Uh,
interested.
I have not ever heard about that. That is really interesting.
You're
So
welcome.
fun to find out about.
Yeah.
I love it. What are you most excited about that's coming up in Fontaine that you know about?
Oh, that is a big question. I generally recently I've just been trying to sort of avoid knowing too much. As in, I'm watching enough trailers and content to get excited, but not so much that it sort of dampens the experience for me. So I don't know like the exact plot of Fontaine, other than there seems to be some sort of problem in Fontaine with well, I'm just going to ask you this: is Fontaine sinking? Is Fontaine sinking?
Not to my knowledge. I haven't been looking at any theories or anything
Mm.
else of that nature that have to do with the story. I have been delving deep into uh, conspiracy theories with my tinfoil dunce cap, but I don't know anything about it sinking.
Because in the most recent desert region, where we had those notes from the Fontaine characters, from the predecessor to the Fontaine Research Institute, there was mentioned that Edwin Eastinghouse was conducting an experiment um, in what he said was a bid to resolve Fontaine's waterline crisis, right? And I'm like, well, what's this waterline crisis? And then in the new trailer at the start, they're talking about this prophecy that everyone will be like absorbed into the water while the Hydra
Oh,
Archon cries, right?
right.
So I'm thinking, is
I was wondering about that.
Fontaine sinking? Like, is that what the waterline crisis is? The water's just rising and they're trying to do something about it?
It's
Interesting.
So
it's
it's like a Teyvat equivalent of the Netherlands, aka Holland,
well,
basically.
it's weird, right? Because like it's on an elevated platform of sorts, like an elevated like plate on the planet, right?
Yeah.
So and like but I thought there was like because what I thought originally was that there was another culture underneath Fontaine, which is why there are structures underwater, right? Like they mentioned that there was that those civilizations got flooded.
Like a
So
like a hidden mole people who live underneath them.
or like melazine or something like like whatever, like there's so many things it could be, but
Yeah.
like there is things underneath. So I was wondering also what that meant, like whether that meant they were flooding, like drowning, or whether they would be flooded. It's kind of weird to think they would be flooded, considering, like I said, they're like on an elevated plate thing, so the whole sea level isn't rising exactly. But they also have floating cubes of water, so like the physics is not a restriction in this case, I think.
Well, the
So
commentator in the chat is saying yes, there was a flood. So I'm pretty sure that a large element of Fontaine's story will be that there has been floods and they're trying to solve something about the water that's encroaching.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. The way I interpreted it was like things about issues with the water kind of circles back to oceanids, especially given the summer event we've been having and the issues the oceanids seem to be having with uh, the new Hydro Archon.
Is there an oceanid present in the Fontaine trailer at all?
Not that we
Not that I
saw.
recall.
Which is kind of
Yeah.
odd. I thought oceanids would be like a big part of the Fontaine story.
Well, Ocean has left Fontaine, so they
All of
Yeah.
them,
well
yeah.
there'll probably be something. Maybe there's an Oceanid left hidden underwater or in some area, or maybe there's like people, because we learned that Oceanids can kind of take the form of people as well. So like in this past event, right? So it's possible that there are Oceanid people that are, or Oceanids
Oh.
disguised as other creatures in general.
Oh,
What's
I'm getting a comment from our lovely producer saying that the voice in the trailer that says "Who am I?" is almost definitely an Oceanid.
Is that the one, yeah, the shot underwater that's point of view?
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's like first
Yes.
person.
I was wondering about that. I was gonna ask, is that like POV or an oceanid?
I
Like,
mean, we saw they
That's
had hands, right?
I mean, but we also saw from the summer event that an Oceanid can transform into a person.
Right, right.
With
So it all connects together. Like it's very
yes.
likely an Oceanid who is a person who maybe forgot they were an Oceanid, is what it sounds like, right?
It could be. Oh,
They've been
somebody in the chat is mentioning that maybe they were a spy because Oceanids are notorious spies, or that's
oh,
it could be somebody who's infiltrated the court and is an
w-
Oceanid living among humans.
wasn't there like a voice line that referenced something about there being spies or something? Maybe I'm remembering wrong.
oh, it's the original OG oceanid that we fight as a boss to get the water upgrade, hydro like upgrades, materials.
Rodea.
Accuses you of being a spy from their homeland to come to
Oh
kill
yeah.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that is a thing too. Yeah, yeah.
I think there was also God. This was forever ago. Remember the was it 1.5 event where we got the little mini Oceanid floating by us?
Mhm.
We got a bunch of Oceanid lore, and we found out that the fairy of the fountain in Springvale was actually just a mini Oceanid.
All
Uh,
right.
but I think they did mention, you know, atop of the strife they have with the Hydro Archon, uh,
I-
that they have been used politically before.
I'm mostly interested in how they're going to what extent, if at all, they're even going to talk about the law, the Fontaine law that was in the the desert of not desert Hadramath, the most recent desert area,
Oh,
Taniki Hollow.
the realm of Farrakhet.
Yeah,
Oh,
where we found out, the previous Hydro Archon died there.
Right.
What she did. So I'm wondering how much they'll play into Fontaine's culture and like the law and just the normal attitudes of the regular Fontaine people. Because in Sumeru, like the previous Archon's death was like a huge aspect of their entire culture, if you think about it.
Yep, and then they forgot about it.
And then they forgot about it.
It's so
but
sad.
rip.
and Yeah, so I do wonder like if that'll be a large part of Postalaw's personality, is that she's relatively new to the job and how she became a Harkon as well. It's very interesting to me. So that's what I'm most looking forward to, I guess, in Fontaine, story wise, actually.
Oh my god, so exciting. Oh my god, Fontaine's so cool. Dancing
I'm s-
robots.
dancing robots.
Yeah, I do wonder like how Fontaine is living in what looks to be the early 20th century. Meanwhile, Inazuma is still out there in like the Bakufu shogunate of like the 1500s. Like,
Yeah,
what
well,
can you imagine like a Inazuma peasant what they would say if they went to Fontaine and saw like transported 500 years in time?
yeah, it's like those shows where like these Japanese people are like misplaced. Like Japanese people from the past come to the future and they experience
Oh,
like
like your boy Conming.
Yeah.
yeah, So like there you go. It's just like, oh wow, this is like they can't even comprehend it. You know what I mean? Like here's a cell phone. Like what? What is this?
Like walking from Mondstadt to Fontaine would just be like going forward in time every 100 years. Like
Hmm.
I feel like Lille is probably on the same technology level as Mondstadt is, maybe. But then once you get to Sumeru, suddenly people have like these like
They have the
Dendro
internet.
and they have Dendro computers and the internet, yeah, like you said.
Yeah. Well, they don't
Especially
anymore, but they did, and it was like it's kind of crazy.
and
Like
academia is just like amazing architecturally with the like.
Yeah,
And then
it's
again, Mondstadt,
stunning.
yeah. But yeah, then Fontaine is just yeah, they're clearly they've progressed to the industrial revolution.
yeah, yeah. I wonder if we'll even see anything more technologically advanced than Fontaine. I feel like that's the peak of
That's gonna be the
technology in the
peak.
world. Yeah,
I
like
mean,
we're going
maybe
to a
Conria.
volcano next or something. Oh, true, true. Conria.
Hmm.
Conry's tech is a lot more like rugged
Magic based.
and magic based. Or
Yeah,
it's a lot more like dark and like gloomy and like sort of chunky. Whereas Fontaine is very like refined and elegant, and the shapes are like
true.
Camry's tech is like Windows 92, and like Fontaine is like iPad 2008. You know, the
Just
difference
so
aesthetically.
specific. Both of those were so specific. Dude, you have something against Windows 92.
No,
It
actually,
looks clunky. It's fair.
I prefer the early like clunky looking stuff. You know, like old
Like
DOS
Microsoft,
games and yeah,
was it Windows XP
yeah.
or
I
like
know.
Windows 2000 actually?
No, Windows XP is like
It's sleek already, right?
Windows XP is Sumeru.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Guys, come listen
And
to our conversation about which Windows operating systems are close to which Genshin regions.
and
Inazuma's like
Inazuma is like a wooden abacus. Like it's
like
like
Windows
blocks being
Windows
moved
abacus.
around. They don't have computers in Inazuma, you know.
That's so crazy. Yeah, it's so interesting because like in real life in Japan, like they were locked, like their country was locked down for like hundreds of years basically,
Yeah.
and so they developed their own culture separate from everybody else, and then eventually they opened up and they learned like other technology and all this stuff, but Inazuma wasn't closed for that long.
No, it was
Inazuma was
like
closed
Like
for
a
like
year,
3 years.
yeah,
2 years.
like less than 5 years, I'm pretty sure. And it was like, people like they left and they were like, "Oh, I can't go back home." And you meet a lot of those people and then they can finally go back home after you fix the problem. So like
I mean, it's
it's like
literally by design because the shogun was like, "No, we want to keep things the same. Otherwise, you know, Celestia will
right,
come and kill us." You know,
right, right,
like
right,
they
right.
did to my sister.
They just like wanted it to be old Japan and so they were like, "Well, what if we have an Archon who doesn't
Well,
ever want to change it?"
A is like terrified, was terrified of change ever
Right?
since her sister died. So yeah,
And now she
it
likes
makes
milk
sense in the
tango.
lore. It's all planned out. Bravo,
Yeah.
Hoyoverse.
Bravo, Hoyoverse. Good on you.
Bravo. Now, what I'm wondering about Fontaine is how um, many references there will be to French history and also
Oh yeah.
like other media like Les Miserables, the musical.
Oh yeah,
You may
yeah.
have
Yeah.
seen me tweet about that a bit. I'm a big fan of it, so
Oh
I
my
will be.
god.
It's my goal to make some sort of parody video at some point with Fontaine
Oh my
characters
god,
singing songs.
yes, let's do it. That sounds
That would
amazing.
be
I would love
wonderful.
that.
I just need to
Yeah, me
figure out
too.
who will be who. Well, you know,
Yeah, we
do
gotta
you guys
learn the
have
characters
any
a little bit.
good
Hmm.
analogies for me yet with characters? Or
I think I think we're definitely going to see a lot of fairy tales based on, I want to say it was artifact descriptions from the new desert sets. I don't remember where this information came from, but there was a story about like a princess and a dragon and her companion group of friends. And then
yes, I remember
famous,
this. Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah, this is vaguely
it's
familiar.
really it's very obscure folklore as a European myself. I had never heard of myself. They like not many people have heard of this. Like it's very obscure, which is a big plus in
Yeah,
my
oh
eyes.
yeah. I
Yes,
mean, the whole
nymph
game is
stream
based off
artifact.
Gnosticism, like they're
Yeah.
they're not really going for mainstream when it comes to like building their lore, which I think is super interesting.
Yeah, you're right, they aren't, but then because this is based on France and like
Mhm.
uh
Of course.
France famously did produce a lot of fairy tales. Like you can visit the castle that was the inspiration for Sleeping Beauty.
Hmm. Gotta
Wait,
say, I
in
support. Sleeping Beauty. I see. Okay, not Beauty and the Beast. Sleeping Beauty. Okay.
Sleeping
yeah,
Beauty, yes.
Okay. I see. Okay.
so
It's
many French castles.
what's
Because
it
like
called?
Beauty and the Beast is French too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. I gotta say, I
Uh,
supported the Beast in that movie. I mean, sorry, and by the Beast I mean Gaston.
Oh,
I support Gaston in that movie. But anyway, I
he has a
digress.
good
Back
song.
to
He has a good
back
song.
to
So,
Fontaine. Back to Fontaine. Will there be a
Back to
Beauty
the
and the Beast
French.
uh, will
Will
there
there
be a
be
Beauty
a
and the
Beauty
Beast best?
and the Beast
Probably.
reference?
I'm gonna go ahead and say that we're gonna find a freaking rose in a glass thing somewhere that's just floating and glowing, and probably supposed to not think much of it, but there it will be.
I wonder how important the robots will be in Fontaine.
Right?
Oh, I
Do they,
Well,
imagine
there's
it's
an
like a.
army of robots, right, in the trailer. So like,
But will it be like a Terminator thing?
yeah, like an iRobot
will they
situation.
rise up?
Yeah,
It'll
Probably
be the
not.
Matrix Origins.
Detroit become human. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, by the way, like, so if we so for the Les Miserables thing, if we find a love triangle, then we'll know our main cast for
Oh, I get
the Cosette and Marianne story.
Oh,
Oh man.
actually, you know what would be really great with Fontaine and Tavat and Les Mis would
Mm.
be Castle on the Clouds with Celestia.
Oh my god.
Mm,
It's just imagine Folklores like singing like, oh man, that would be great. I like to go there in my sleep.
I was
There are no
hoping there'd be
clothes
some
for
sort of revolution
boys.
plot, in
Oh
Fontaine,
yeah.
so I
I
could
mean,
do a
there's
few
nothing the
hits.
French love more than revolution, so I would not be surprised.
Yeah, rioting is the national sport after all, so love a good riot.
Oh man,
I
I can't
thought it
wait.
was burning trash.
Same thing. Okay, so what else is there about Fontaine to discuss? What do you?
Um. The like the presence of two elements exclusive to Fontaine, that this sort of like energy related thing with
Yes.
the
Is this
Numa and the other
the
thing.
new mechanic? Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah,
Hmm.
I
and
haven't
how
heard
that ties in.
much about that. What I've heard is that Hoya might be doing it as a way to incentivize you to roll for new characters, even if they aren't technically upgrades over previous characters, because they can interact with the Fontaine mechanic.
Yep.
It's quite
I
somewhat cynical view, but yeah, we'll see.
I've heard rumblings and whisperings that this is going to be the what they do for all new countries going forward. So this is the new mechanic for Fontaine. There's going to be a new one for Nutlan, another for Shishnaya, etc.
Yeah, I think they just needed to diversify. Like they needed to give you incentive to play as other characters. Like, I mean, yes, like rolling for characters is a thing, but it looks so. This is my actually had a discussion about this on stream yesterday. Like the the way they made it look like is that your like each character from Fontaine has an alignment. It's either like, black or white or whatever it is. And then some enemies will react to this alignment or the opposite of the alignment. I don't know which one they're choosing to do. And it makes it easier to fight them, but like you don't necessarily need it. Um but then it also looked like they had where like you were able to pick up this alignment and then like use it. So it looked to me like kind of like Dragon Spine with like the scarlet quartz, like with the red rocks that you had to break, and then they like follow you around for a second, and then you hit stuff, and then it'll melt them or whatever it did. So kind of like that, where like any character can technically use it, but if you have a built-in character, imagine having a character that had the built-in Scarlet Quartz ability, and you could just melt those things without having to pick those things up. It just like makes it easier, I guess.
Well, if it's
And they
anything
kind of
like Dragonspine, I'll be very excited because that was that was the best place in the game ever they made for exploration. So super hype. No, I'm not being sarcastic. I unironically
but
believe love
that's
Dragon
what's so
Spine. I
funny
love the
about it.
shit cold mechanic. I love everything about Dragon Spine. The
That's
atmosphere,
so
the
funny because
music.
that is the one place everyone hates because of that.
No,
Like,
true connoisseurs of exploration know that Dragon Spine
okay,
is top tier.
so would you prefer that Fontaine has a breathing mechanic, like with air?
Yes,
Oh
Uh,
no!
you
yes,
are
I
you
would.
are spitting out some truly hot takes today, Subu.
Yeah, this is
I would
Fontaine
like
should
the
have a
air to be
breathing meter.
generous.
Change my mind.
I would like it to be generous, but I would like it to be there, so I feel like sort of under pressure at all times
That is
to
literally what they're trying to avoid.
I'm a masochist, I guess.
The
Well,
number
we
of
learned something new
times
about Subutai today.
the number of times I've died in a Sonic or Mario game from drowning have really made me appreciate exactly.
Oh, so actually, we knew you were a masochist, Subutai, because you pumped out a 100 plus hour work video in 2 weeks. So,
Yeah, that's true. And Kafka's my favorite Star Rail character. So.
oh my God, yes. Are you excited or what? Okay, wait, different podcast. Okay.
We can talk
Yeah,
about whatever. Subutai's the boss here.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, I mean, there's not much to talk about when it comes to Kafka. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
Kafka.
like
Mm.
Yeah,
just post.
we have eyes. We get it.
Yeah, we have eyes. I love Gina when you say that. We
Everyone
have
loves
eyes.
Kafka, though, right? Right?
I don't
I
know if everyone likes. I from the day one, like from the first second of the chapter when she's like like doing in the space station cutscene where she's like doing the symphony and everything's blowing up around her. I was like, wow, I want this character.
I hope they make a similar character in Genshin, who's part of the main story, like the Pyro
so
Archon.
like a relevant Yelan.
Yeah, like a relevant Yelan. Yeah, basically. I mean, Yelan is one of my favorite Genshin characters.
Yeah.
Especially like gameplay wise as well, and yeah.
Oh,
Just,
who are you looking most forward to of the Fontaine characters?
um, can I be basic and say the
Yes.
Archon? The
Yeah.
Archon, I
Yes.
guess.
Yes.
But
Yeah. Yeah. No. Why not? Why not?
let's exclude the Archon because I mean anyone,
Easy answer. Yeah.
it's too easy. What are my other options?
We have
We've got Linear Lynette.
Navia. We have Linny Lynette, Fremine. We have Navia, who's like the umbrella girl, the Geo umbrella girl. We have
There's my wife,
Corinne.
Arlecchino.
Arlecchino. Oh my God, can she be playable, please? Like soon.
Yeah, I
If
don't think
she's,
she won't be playable for a while, probably.
I
let me
I
hope,
hope.
man.
I hope copium. She's important. And then we have Corinne, the girl with the pistol
Yeah,
and
I'm
the
quite
hat.
big on her. I'm big on Clarence.
Same. All right,
Yeah,
we have similar tastes, Subutai,
she's.
except not with the exploration thing, just with the just with the characters.
I like powerful women. Okay,
Who doesn't?
we
You're a
like
man of culture.
we like women in strong positions of power. Ningguang,
Yeah,
for example.
Ningguang. Yep.
Yeah.
Except my favorite character is actually Yoimiya.
I see.
But
Well,
my second favorite
she's
is
good
Dia.
too.
So
So.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested. Clorinda I think, will make a good Javert in the Les Miserables part
Oh,
of
there
the
you go.
parody.
Ooh.
Because she's,
Yeah,
she's the police, isn't
yeah.
she? She's the police officer.
She looks like the law pretty much. So
Yeah.
She
yeah.
is the law, and I will obey her.
It could be Nouvelette, but he's too powerful. He's more like a politician, I feel like. Or
Right.
he's the judge, isn't he?
Now he's the master of the house.
He's the chief judge. He's the one.
Boo.
No. That's the
That's Rosley.
that's the guy who looks like Sampo.
Yeah. The
Edgy Sampo. That's him.
Rothlessly. How do you say his name?
I-
Do you know?
I'm
I heard it was
so
like
afraid of saying his
I heard it was
name.
like a wait. Is it French thing? I heard it was like a British thing.
Risley?
Risley.
Risley. That's what I'm getting from our
Write it down,
producer.
and I'll give you the
Oh,
proper.
W R. Someone put it in the chat. WRIOTH.
Somebody
Risley.
say Risley.
Risley. Oh my God.
It's probably Risley.
Risley's.
Risley.
Risley. That is not a British name. Oh
Okay,
wait,
never mind then.
it's
it?
it's not spelled Riz with the two Z's.
Oh no, of course. But it's spelled WRIOTHESLEY.
You
Okay,
know what?
that's
I'm down to
Risley.
start some beef with the British. You guys spell things funny.
Everyone spells things funny. English is
No.
a silly language.
There's they're spelling things funny, and then there's whatever the heck y'all were thinking whenever somebody decided Worcester was pronounced Worcester, but spelled Worcester.
I mean, yeah, I guess we just like to abbreviate things because we don't have time to waste on extra syllables. So
Uh,
there are very long and complicated answers to this that
Then just write it less. Just write it the way it's pronounced. Why is it spelled Worcester and then pronounced Worcester?
I could probably get up a whole bunch of examples from the US where things are similarly confusing. Like, you guys have a Birmingham too, don't you?
Yes, and we also have a Worcester in New England.
Yeah, you have loads of English names.
yeah, because
Leave us alone.
we have a New England.
You have
So
the cooler
it's
England, okay.
the newer old England. How's it being in old England? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Speaking
I
of
mean,
this, I'm quite interested to see how much Fontaine has of English influences and not just French.
oh yeah,
I
true.
I'm hearing there's some Italian influences in Fontaine, so I'm curious to see
So
that.
it's just a mishmash of Europe then that isn't Germany or
Yeah,
like
I mean,
maybe Romance countries.
yeah, that's what it sounds like. I mean, like Sumeru was like a mishmash as well.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Like
Central Asian countries.
obviously Inazuma and Liyue are like strictly China and Japan, but like
Yeah.
all the other ones are kind of mishmashy. I mean, Mondstadt
Except
is mostly Germany, but like
Chesnaya will quite clearly be like just like
right.
Russia,
As
or
far
at
as
least
we can tell.
yeah.
But they might do like Russia, Ukraine, like
Oh,
mix a bunch of
don't say that in the same sentence. Hot topic.
uh look man. I'm gonna hope that by the time Sneznaya comes out everything is fine, okay? It's like 4
Okay.
years from
But it
now.
might
So
it's just now it might have a lot of Slavic as a whole, like
right,
Eastern European
right.
cultures, like
Like
and
Romanian and stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
that'd be fun.
maybe like
Yeah. Oh
Poland
my
or
god, can we get like a Numa Numa reference? Like na 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 Numa Numa yeah.
But Fontaine, yeah, there is British names like Eastinghouse.
Oh, there you go.
The guy who blew up the Fontaine Research Institute and possibly himself.
Of course he's British.
Yeah. I was just speaking of the Fontaine Research Institute, like they were not in the trailer at all.
Yeah, as far as we know,
I
yeah.
want to know what's going on with the Fontaine Research Institute.
Well, I'm wondering if that'll be like a side quest that you just do and it's like off to the side somewhere, or I'm assuming it'll be like in a different region that unlocks later.
It has to be a main location because it was so like I don't know. The lore was so good in the I've forgotten the name of the most recent desert place already. It's like the above
The new
Canria,
desert place.
the
Yeah.
new desert place above Canria.
Yeah, the desert of I mean the realm of Faraket.
Yeah, the entire Fontaine story there with the researchers from the old research institute that got made defunct when they all died. Um, and then Eastinghouse set up the new institute to resolve Fontaine's waterline crisis. So presumably it will be important with the Fontaine story, which is about the water.
Right.
Um, because they're trying to solve the problem.
Water.
While they're not exploding the city, they're trying to solve the problem. You know.
Oh yeah, they just gotta get themselves a bottle of water, you know what I'm
Uh.
saying? Hey man, while we have you here, we gotta we
I'm
gotta
so
like,
we're so tired of this. We as a collective online nation are so tired of the bottom
the bottle of
Listen,
water
water.
joke.
look, Josh, we threw their tea in the ocean. They've suffered enough.
Eh. We'll see how it goes. All
Okay.
right. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah, so the Fontaine Research Institute can be very interesting. I'm interested in that. And yeah, I hope there's another crazy explosion. That would be fun. Or a robot
Chernobyl
uprising.
2.0.
Will there be a robot uprising of Fontaine? Let's find out.
Well, I'm curious what kind of like how like in the desert we like we for Jet's quest we like opened up like bunch of stuff. Like we like opened up the floor and it like changed the map. We moved the big robot around. I wonder what kind of like changes to the landscape that we'll be able to make maybe in Fontaine. That would be really interesting. Imagine it did blow up and then like it created this whole different area that maybe you couldn't get some resources in or something like that until after you blow it up. So I'm really curious if we have something like that.
Yeah, maybe like you'll flood part of
Oh,
the
right, right.
landscape.
And then we have to swim there,
Yeah,
right?
Ooh.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty interesting.
Maybe we can treat the whole city as kind of like a Panama Canal type of situation and control the rising and falling water levels so that we can get to different places.
yeah, definitely.
That seems like it'll be present. I mean, we already did that in Sumeru, but like only going down, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. I think this is a good enough place to stop. We can take a little break, and then when we come back, we can talk more about Subutai's production side of things.
Yep, looking forward to that.
All right, so we're gonna go on break for about 5 minutes. We'll see you all then. Get a drink of water, go to the bathroom, do what you gotta do, and we'll see you back in 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, everyone, welcome back to One More Cup of Coffee today here with our guest Subutai and my co-host Gina. So we had a good first half talking about a bunch of different things about Genshin lore, things we're excited about for Fontaine. There's so much stuff to be excited about for Fontaine, honestly. That we could probably do 5 whole podcasts about it in a row right now. I'm just kidding. Okay,
Yeah.
so what we're what we're gonna do is actually wanted to talk to you, Subutai, a little bit about your production team, your production company, if you will, Subutai Production. So like for those of you that don't already know or who are coming in a little bit later, perhaps you've seen Subutai's work on YouTube, like for example the Genshin Impact, the movie unofficial trailer, Beware the Heavenly Principles story trailer, Kainria Rising. There's a lot of different really cool cinematic videos that Subutai said, I mean that Subutai has worked on, and so like if you don't mind like talking about that a little bit, like like just in terms of like super type production, like how did you come to be, like you talked about like you switched over to gaming and then you started doing um like you started doing videos, but I'm assuming that you went from being by yourself to having a team. Like how did that happen?
Right. So, is my audio okay? First of all, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're
Yep,
good, you're good.
we hear you
Okay,
good.
cool. Well, my answer to that is I first started with just editing trailers, right? Using
Mm-hmm.
in-game footage. You know, like I first started the first couple I made were just pretty much purely using like game cinematics from Genshin.
Right,
Then I started sort of filming my own stuff in game for certain shots, you know, using the in-game camera.
right.
And then I was like, you know what, I want to sort of take it up a level here. So I saw there's some guy on Reddit literally posted like a video that no one really paid attention to, but I did. It was literally, look, I made this animation of, it was Shenhe, yeah, like he made like a Shenhe dancing animation,
Mm-hmm.
and the important thing about it was he said, you know, I learned this, I started a week ago, and I was like, wow, for a week that looks amazing. So I was
Right.
like, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn to animate. Because you know, at least I can make some simple stuff, right? Like
Right,
character dialogue, at least. Which would really enhance my videos if I could make my own animation of characters talking or perhaps like looking stoic and stuff.
right,
So I was like, okay, sure, I'm just gonna dive into it. So I DM'd him and he started telling me what he knew, which admittedly wasn't much because he only started recently. So I
right.
tried. Then, and this is where the most important thing happens, is I joined some Discord servers, right?
Uh-huh.
And through those servers, well, I found some people, but I'll get into that later. But I sort of downloaded Blender and you know managed to put some stuff together. And in
Mm-hmm.
my Canria Rising video, which was the most successful one so far, think it's I think it's still the most successful one I've done because it has over like 600,000 views on TikTok and like
Right,
500,000 views on YouTube. So it's over like a combined 1 million views.
right.
Um, so I managed to add my own basic animation to that video, and not. And you know what the funny thing is, I don't think many people even realized that was original animation. It's that bit at the beginning of the video. So the video starts with I think it's Lumine talking about the destruction of
Right.
Canria, and you know various characters talking about what happened on that day, including
Right.
like Makoto saying, you know, wait, I can't remember what she said, but the stuff about the structure country. Anyway, I put in like this random shot that I put together of Nahida, Zhongli, A, and Fenty, sort of just looking a bit like scared or surprised together in this place that I was trying to convince people was Canria, and it looked so bad. It looked so bad that I just turned the darkness and like to like very low so people couldn't really see much except the character models themselves. It kind of worked. And then I was like, I think after I released that video, it got enough attention that I think I started getting recognized maybe in the community more. And then in these Discord servers I joined for animation, I managed to find people who were like, you know, fans of the videos I'd released. And
Mhm.
I found one guy called Bonnie. And basically after that we teamed up. And that's when I kind of started making a team of sorts, Subutai production team. And then we released the teaser trailer for Shadows in the Sand, right? That
Mhm.
and that had for the first time proper original animation,
Right. Of course.
and so now I've sort of transitioned into the role where I'm like, okay, I'm not an animator. It takes years
Right.
to learn this stuff. I can't just do it like that. Um, but what I can do is have a team of people, whereas with myself as the producer and editor
Mhm.
and director and a few other roles
To
and
bring your vision to
a
life,
few
right?
yeah. So I got the animator, environmental artists, we've got like character rigger, um we've got a composer, a very well-known composer. I can tell you well, on the Subaru team now. I don't know if you've seen his stuff. He's called Frost Studios. He's got like he's published some Genshin music that's got over like, you know, 2 or 3 million views.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he's quite big. Like Frost, if you just search
Ross.
like Zhongli like theme remix into YouTube, uh yeah,
Uh-huh.
he'll come up second to top, 2.4
Oh,
million views.
Frost
Frost
Studio
Studio.
Timbersonic.
Yeah. So he's my composer.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so we've got original music for all our projects going forward. Uh Pretty much, and whatever and what I'm working on at the moment. We've got him doing the music for that. We've
Cool.
got
So how big is your team? Like, how many people do you have total?
I think we've got like so it's maybe like seven people, 7 or 8 people, but we've got a lot of we got some very large contributors like my animator Bonnie, and
Mhm.
he's my environmental artist as well,
Mhm.
and we've got a very good animator who's not involved in Genshin. Actually, I found him through a friend. Uh, yeah, he's not involved in Genshin, but he's a great animator.
Mhm.
But and then we've got Frost, and we've got a great team, and it's really I think when we do like post our next project, it's gonna blow people's minds because like the quality is on very close, I would say, to being. I mean, I think I'm not gonna say it's on the same level as Hoyoverse because it's not, because
Mhm.
it's not, and I won't pretend it is. But I think
Right.
to a lot of perhaps viewers who maybe
Mhm.
aren't able to, they might not be able to tell too much of a difference. Like they might think it's official if we're not careful, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's cool because like specifically with this like newest trailer that you're talking about, you guys are highlighting a part of the story that didn't have voice acting, where there's not a lot of movement in the characters, like as far as animation wise, like typically because the game's focus is the gameplay, a lot of the animations are like either like reused or recycled, and it's like characters doing their animations that they have normally. So seeing something like original, it gives it a different flavor, like a different kind of animation style than like what's in the game already. I think that might,
Yeah.
you know, what's it called? Like people will enjoy it, but I think you're right. Like people might not be able to tell that it's not official, but like, you know, whatever.
I
Like I
think
don't know
I
what to tell
think
you.
I'll like for any project I do from now on, I will have to be very clear
Hmm.
about um branding so that I'm not accused of impersonating Hoyoverse, basically.
Well, the first thing that comes up in your trailer is SubutaiProduction, so it makes
Yeah, but it's
like
something I have to be aware of.
yeah.
But yeah, very excited about what I'm working on at the moment, and I think I think uh I think people will be very very excited when they see it too.
Hmm.
And is there anything else we can talk about in relation to perhaps the process? Do you have
Yeah,
any
yeah, no. So,
questions?
so yeah, so my like sorry, I thought you were finishing a thought. So, what I wanted to know, and for people who don't know much about the process, so like, what kind of work? Like you mentioned, 100 hours typically to make one of those like couple minute, 2, 3, 4 minute trailers. Um, how long does it take to like source the footage? How long does it take to edit? Like, obviously it varies per video, but like, what do you in your recent projects, like, what do you find yourself averaging? Like, what does that process look like for people who have no idea how it works?
So, and this is, I'm just going to bring up what refer to, because I wrote recently, someone wanted to know this. So I said, here's my process. And this is working at full speed, like no
Okay.
breaks, anything. Day one, collecting voice lines, writing the scripts, getting and testing music. That will take a day. And
Hmm.
this is actually assuming, sorry, this is assuming you have all the footage already. So
Oh, okay.
day
So how long does it
zero,
take to get the
day
footage? Like,
zero is getting the footage. Actually, that
I see.
for my first video that I made, it took me 2 full days to download all of it.
Mm,
So it's just 2 days of getting all Genshin cinematics downloaded.
right.
Okay.
I remember you were like, I kind of remember this in your Discord because I'm in your Discord, and when the like the Tanigi Hollow and stuff like that new area came out, you were like asking like, is there anything I need to record footage of before I do it, because like it's gonna change, right? Like you have to like get all. I remember thinking, oh man, like you have to record everything you can just in case you need it in the future before it like permanently changes in the game and you can't go back to get it, or you have to rely on other people for that footage. Is that
Yes,
correct?
exactly. So I I spent like way too long filming to Nikki Hollow in the most recent desert area. I spent hours filming it. And
Right.
I think it's just because the area is so beautiful. I gotta say,
It
Hoyoverse
is.
really knocked out of the park with that area. It's probably one of the greatest areas most people will never play.
You can see the tree, that giant tree that happens after you beat the story quest.
Yeah, everywhere.
Um,
It's
you can
huge.
see it from the Jade Chamber. Like I tested, like, oh no, you can see it from Dragon Spine. That's the farthest. I was like testing what is the farthest place you could possibly see this tree from, and I have on the PC with max rendered graphics, and like if you teleport to the Statue of Seven on Dragonspine and you walk up to the edge, you can see the tree. But if you turn the camera slightly or move slightly, it doesn't render anymore. So
It
it's
does
like the
make you
exact
wonder,
edge.
like, what are people in other nations or even Sumeru sort of doing when they sort of look to the horizon and see a giant tree and they're just like,
Nope.
whatever,
Oh,
you
it's
know,
there now.
it's
Okay.
there now. Guess I'll just go on with my day.
Right. The Sumeru's like, tree, we have those. All right, I'm moving on.
I think in the lore, this is actually, I remember watching loads of videos about this. In the lore, Teyvat is a lot larger than it is in the actual game world. Would you
Oh, I
agree?
mean,
Gina, what do you think about that?
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh, there are a lot of places that are described in stories that we don't even have hints of in the world. I'm not talking about like unreleased places like Netlan and Shishnaya, but I mean like the Dandelion Sea. Uh, and we don't know whether those are real places that have been destroyed or if they're like metaphors, like the Scaramouche story from his quest. But there are a lot of places that we've heard about, but that we don't know exist.
like in the game world.
Yes.
I think in my head, the um the game world is just a representation of like the world in the lore, and like
Hmm.
once that isn't actually a mile, isn't actually a mile wide. It's actually the size of like Belgium or something.
Oh,
Because
oh,
that,
I see. Yeah,
you see what I mean?
because essentially like they're too close to each other for it to make reasonable sense that they're
Well,
like so separated. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, this is the issue with all open world games is that everything's too small, right? Like Skyrim is like 5 miles wide and it's supposed to be this epic,
Oh
land.
yeah,
Yeah.
But it's
yeah,
actually
that's
the
true.
size of like Manhattan, you know.
Hey man,
But,
back then, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
and I think in the Genshin anime, people will be surprised when you see how large the scale is. Like when they're like traversing over multiple mountains, and they're like, "Oh,
Oh
we're still in
yeah,
Mondstadt," you know. We got
yeah,
like
where they can
we
make
got
it
like 10
feel
days before we leave Mondstadt and get to Liyue because it's like 100, 200, 300, maybe more miles away instead of being 1 mile away.
right.
Right. This
Mm.
is such a weird point to go
Mm.
off on, but
It
like
it it
as someone
is.
who
I mean,
loves
it is.
maps, and like sort of realism,
Uh
in
huh.
my world building, I
Right.
guess I take it quite seriously. So it's very
No, that's
interesting.
great. This is great because this is not a conversation you can have with a lot of people because first of all, not as many people care about maps. Second of all, yeah, no, it's a definitely an interesting point to bring up. I think like it is a game, right? And it has to make sense within like it has to be accessible in that sense. Like it can't be like 10, like 100-mile wide
Yeah,
Mondstadt,
it's restricted by the nature of being a game.
Right,
The
exactly.
story follows gameplay
Exactly.
needs. Yeah, because
So,
otherwise it's impossible to make a game.
but to that
You
point,
know,
sounds like a fun project for someone to go into Unreal Engine 5 and realistically recreate Teyvat if it was, in the real world. That does sound interesting.
well, I've seen some videos where people, like calculate based on times given in the game. Like where someone says, "Oh, it took me 2 weeks to get to Sumeru."
Right.
Someone will
Hmm.
calculate, how far can you get on foot in a day, and then people have, calculated that
Ooh, that's interesting.
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
It's just a matter of time before we start seeing some stuff like that to represent it. I mean,
And
as
again,
a
I think
game,
the anime will show the scale of Tevat.
right? I hope
Hopefully.
I
so.
think.
Yeah, hope so. Um, like what's it called? Like Teyvat now is already like as a game, it's pretty big. Like for a free to play, for an open world, like considering all the context, like
That was
it's
gigantic for a
huge.
game. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
massive,
huge.
humongous for a
So
game.
it is kind of interesting to think like this is like a 1/100th scale, like or something like that. Um, so yeah, I
Yeah,
like that.
but imagine if there was a highway into that and you were driving along it in your big American car at 100 miles an hour. You'd blast through it in about a minute. The entire of the game world, probably
Oh my god, that
from
would be
one side
so
to the
funny.
other.
Yeah. I like how you say big American car when the first country we start in is literally Germany. But so
True.
Yes,
Sorry,
but
uh
we're the Americans with the big American cars.
you're
don't
right,
get
you're
me.
right.
I have like a number of like uh interests which I can talk about for a long time. One of them is Genshin, and one of them is um
Big American cars.
like cars. Like I found this YouTube channel called like Not Just Bikes. It's by this Canadian guy who lives in the Netherlands, and it's all about like city planning and urban
Well,
transport.
you really do like maps.
Yeah, I really do like maps, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's great.
But yeah,
Oh, yeah, well that's awesome. Like so basically like you spend a lot of time recording footage and it takes a long time, but like just imagine how long it would take if realistically to go out into the world and record footage. It would be a really long time. So
it would.
you started doing so Genshin is I would say already pretty cinematic, right? Like there's a lot of cinematic moments. They have cutscenes, obviously. It's a video game. The effects look really cool. Um, so and we know as well as you that your projects, your recent projects, like the trailers we mentioned, the movie trailer, the behind the Beware the Heavenly Principles, like all this stuff, it works really well and it resonates with people. And there's a lot of people that enjoy it. Me personally too. Why do you think that is?
So I think what I'm doing is I'm making sort of movie Hollywood or Netflix or whatever style trailers,
Mm-hmm.
and presenting the Genshin story without any gameplay sort of
Mm-hmm.
elements. So the actual trailers that are published on Genshin channels and official stuff, they're sort of general trailers. They have the story in it, but they also have gameplay and they're very
Mm-hmm.
character marketing focused. Like there'll be a break in like for about a minute in the middle of the Fontaine trailer where
Yep.
they like show off
The new
Linny or
characters.
Lynette's abilities, and my trailers are purely story, purely narrative, and they're very dramatic, and they
Yeah.
use music that's very like trailer focused, I guess, very very cinematic, and I think people like seeing the Genshin story presented by itself, as if it was a movie,
Mm-hmm.
and also, a lot of people, I think, like seeing the Genshin story collated in a very like digestible
Yeah.
way because it does. My videos summarize the overarching plot of Genshin, I guess.
Right.
And
Which is
and
like sprinkled between quests and exploration and you
yeah, and
experience it
it's
over
all
a long
gathered
period of
together in
time.
these videos. And even people who
Mm-hmm.
play the game, I get loads of comments being like, "I play the game," and like even I didn't remember most of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
You
I didn't
know,
realize I didn't connect the dots because it happened so long ago, especially if you're up to date with the content and you're not
yeah.
constantly reviewing the lore.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think my videos do act as a fantastic refresher or recap as well for
Mhm.
players and fans, um, to
Well, I
go back.
actually used one of your videos, the movie trailer video, specifically. I was okay, look, I'm gonna be honest with you, and just fanboy a little bit because I was super taken with this trailer. I speak Japanese and I really love the dramaticism of Japanese voice lines and language. So I typically play the game in Japanese.
Yeah.
And with English, while I love the English voice actors and English voice acting itself is its own thing. Um I prefer the Japanese, but then when I play Genshin, if I put it in English, it sounds kind of like I don't know, it's kind of how it sounds to Japanese people in Japanese too, but it's like over dramatic. When you're just in a normal speaking scenario, for example,
Yeah.
you're talking to someone, they're like, "Well, I did this the other day," and then you're like, "Okay, well, like nobody talks like that."
That's because,
But then,
I mean,
yeah,
anime voices aren't, like, real, you know?
right, exactly. So it's
Like,
the
they're
same,
no one talks like that in real life, no matter what
right?
language you're speaking in. Yeah.
It's the same, and so but it's because it has that element of anime and fantasy, and it's not realistic like The Last of Us or something like that. But what I like about your movie trailers is that they use the dramatic voices in a dramatic setting, and it just like works so well, like with the music and the showing on screen like some crazy action or something like that. And I think that because I think some of the voice lines you use for that trailer are like just like normal speaking voice lines. Like they're just like talking normally. But right? Like they're not all
Yeah,
from
so
in-game cutscenes.
I have an interesting maybe factoid in that the way I get audio is I just go to the wiki and take it because I don't know who runs the Genshin wiki, but they
Mhm.
are amazing because they will put the voice lines, like the audio files for every single bit of dialogue in the entire
Yeah.
game into the
Bless their souls.
and with the dialogue. So like you can just look up a quest, like oh Inazuma Archon Part 2,
Mhm.
section 3, and there'll be like the full transcript of the
Yeah.
quest as it's written in the quest log in
I mean, it's
game.
it's it's
And you
in
can just
game.
click on each
Yeah.
line and it will play the audio. Now you have to know how to extract audio from web pages, but if
Right.
you do, then it becomes an incredible way to
Yeah.
as an editor to just, because I would just reread through the entire quest and be like, oh, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Pick that there. Pick that there.
I mean,
And
you do know that that's in game too, right?
yes, but you can't just, you can't just click F12, then go to
Oh,
sources, and then right click, open as, save as
right, right, right,
MP3.
right, right, right. Yeah. I like how you like explained it. Yeah. So yeah, the ability to just get it on there, like someone did it for us. Like, I mean, it's there, right, for the fans to use, in a way, and so, and to reference. But yeah, but what I was basically saying is like you take those out of the non-dramatic context and put it into a dramatic context, and it like works super well. At least in terms of like the movie trailer. And I was really taken by it. I really, really enjoyed it. And so I used your movie trailer to get people to play Genshin. Like
Oh, I've heard that
because
comment before.
yeah, because like
I've done
they
that
don't
too.
know yeah, because they don't know what it's about, right? And I'm like, okay, well, you like movies. So like I show them the trailer and they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And so they try the game because of that. And now they have a little more context instead of like when you first come in, you know nothing. They have an idea of where the story is going, but it's not clear in the trailer. Like, like the problem in Hollywood and with a lot of advertising for movies and trailers is that they reveal too much, like in the trailers.
Oh, I do that too. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
but I
I
feel
I, I
like
reveal too much. I
no,
reveal
I
way
don't
too
feel
much
I
in my
but
trailers.
the funny thing is, like, yeah, you reveal, like, things that happen and, like, maybe technically spoilers, but there's so much that happens to get to that point that, like, that you can't possibly, it's hard to spoil it properly because, like, a movie is like 2 hours, let's say 2 hours, 1 hour and a half to 3 hours, and there's, like, key moments, like the highlights, the set pieces, and they throw those in trailers, and that's it, like, the you see the best parts already, and you see
Yes, I
them in
think what
almost
what
their
you're trying to
entirety.
say, I think what you're saying is that I reveal information, but it's revealed without context. So someone who hasn't played the game wouldn't know why it
Right,
was a spoiler or what
exactly,
relevance that has. Like, for
but it looks
example, when
cool.
they say,
Yeah,
Traveler, you are the fourth descender,
yeah.
like someone who hasn't played Genshin will be like, I have no idea what that means, but it sounds cool, like you say.
Well, to be fair, I don't show them that trailer. I show
Oh,
them
okay.
the unofficial movie
But
trailer.
like, no one, unless you've played up to the moment in the game where Nahida says you are the fourth
Yeah,
descender,
it makes no sense.
that makes like that's not a spoiler because you're like,
Yeah,
well, what's a descender? Like,
and then even if
and
you
if
played it
anything, it's just very intriguing because now you're like, well, why is he the fourth? What is a descender? So you keep playing the game
right.
to find out.
Yeah, no, it's great. So, I really think that's great, and I think that that's part of why it works, especially for someone like me, who enjoys cinematography and the dramaticism. Um, so, of your projects that you've worked on so far that are released, let's say, like on your YouTube channel, what was your favorite project to work on, and why?
So the big trailers. There's the original movie cinematic trailer.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Archon trailers, which is the one which is the one with the Britney Spears remix that I got a lot of flack for. Um,
That's great.
and then there's Canria Rising, and then the most recent one is Beware the Heavenly Principles. My
Hmm.
favorite one, it's like picking between your children. Um,
Yeah, pick favorites.
I like the one that got the most views. That's no, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
okay, no, 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 no. Like the process, like what was the most fun to put together? You watched it at the end, you were like,
Oh,
"Oh man, this is
you
satisfying."
mean
Like
I mean the most fun to make?
mhm.
Um, oh, this is really difficult. Why are you asking me this? I'm
I'm
just kidding.
asking you this because it's difficult. Like
It's
that's why I'm
very
asking.
He's
challenging.
asking because we know you're a masochist, so
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We
I
we
like
figured
difficult
you would like it.
things.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't actually answer your question before about the actual process of making these, and through that explaining that, I might come to a decision about which one was my favorite. So I'm going to go
Okay,
back
I'm
to
gonna
your
make you
earlier
answer it though.
question. I'm
So
going to go back to your earlier question and say, okay, so first I get the voice lines, which is what I talked about before. I go to the wiki,
right,
and then I get all the voice lines and I put them in an order to make the narrative of the video.
right.
And I split these videos into three acts. Act one is the exposition and the world building. So who, what characters are there? Why are they there? And what's their goal? Traveler, for example, the original movie trailer that was the unknown god took my sister, and now I'm trapped in this world, and I'm gonna find out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Then Act 2 is you introduce the villains and the threats to the main character. And that things get a bit darker. So you're like, oh, here's the Fatui, and the child's like, I'm gonna unleash I'm gonna genocide all
Mhm.
Leeway Harbor, and then everyone will
Mhm.
forget because I'm such a cool guy. Like, I'm
Yep,
just
that sounds accurate. That's what
yeah.
happened.
Like, he was perfectly willing to destroy an entire city full of people and
Yeah,
children.
no problem.
Don't forget about that. Like, so
We
after
won't. As
but
he
then
comes to Fontaine, we will not
and then the
forget.
final act is just the epic action montage with some sort of epic sounding, um, grandiose dialogue. Like
Yeah.
normally Dainsley or Zhongli
Of
is
course,
is
they're
what I
deep
use for this
voices and
because
dramatic talking.
because Dainsley and Zhongli both have the epic. Zhongli. I
Mhm.
I love his line where he's like you know it's at the end of his character quest, his second character quest after you beat Ashtar, and you ask him, you're like, so about Kenria, and he's like, no, I can't talk about that, but I think you're gonna find out what's gonna happen, and you're gonna find the secrets of the world because you're pretty awesome. He says that in a lot more like
Verbatim, he says that. No,
he
that's
says that in
verbatim.
much more poetic terms, but yeah, that's great. So that's what I finish the video with, and so I get these, I get the voice lines for, and I'm gonna say the least favorite video to edit was the first one because that's where I had to do the most preparation and getting the videos, like the footage for
Right.
the entire of Genshin, like just downloading the entire Genshin YouTube channel version trailer of every trailer. So no, it wasn't that. But then I collect the video footage, I get the narrative, the voice lines, then I choose the music, and then
Mhm.
once I do that, so I don't actually do any visual editing until I've solved what it sounds like.
Right.
And then once I've got the voice lines, I start putting in video. I do a rough first cut, I refine it, do a second cut, then I put in sound design, which is like sound effects. Uh, I
So
spend a
lots
lot of
of
time doing.
planning. Right.
Yeah, well, it takes a long time. Then I put in visual effects, like open After Effects, and start like doing compositing and
Mhm.
all these cool effects and transitions. And that's why it takes 100 hours or more to do these things. Um, and now through describing that, I can now say that my favorite video to edit and create was the Beware the Heavenly Principles one. I think
Nice.
because it was the
I
easiest.
think.
It was the
Oh,
easiest to make.
your process is
You're so
already a
valid.
lot more refined, right?
Yes, I've learned a lot, and through the project that I'm working on at the moment, that I can't talk much about. I've learned so much about animation and the process of
Nice.
creating animation as a producer and director. Every frame is a painting, and every frame there are 30 frames in a second.
30 paintings in 1 second.
30 paintings in 1 second, and each painting takes about 40 seconds to render. So it takes about
Oh my
several
god.
hours to render a single second of footage sometimes. Um,
Wow.
and yeah, the project I'm working on at the moment, it took me 100 hours for my first second video, 100
Uh-huh.
150 hours. This one is going to be more like 1,000 hours probably of work.
Well, it is a lot
Wow.
more involved, so
Yeah, and if you include like, I mean, I've had like a team. We've been working like 7 days a week, you know, basically
Mhm.
for the last 2 months. So it's going to be an incredible amount of work going into this, and it's I think it will do justice to the story that it's adapting. So that will be good.
Yeah, I mean, if you could just do that for, every story quest that didn't have voice lines, that would be fantastic. All right,
I
bring on the Aranara. Let's go.
Oh God, no.
I will never do a video about the Aranara. I'm sorry. There have to be actual human characters involved for me to be interested. No disrespect to the little plant friends, but I can't get emotionally invested in Raranara, Bara Lara,
Lara, Lara, Flower, Lara.
yeah, Flaranara.
Yeah.
Same goes for the parry quests. Sorry.
Oh, I see. I see how it is.
Humans, I'm a human supremacist. Humans only.
I'd-
How dare you?
They can be
No,
side
you know what?
characters.
I'm with you on this one.
Yeah.
No,
No,
I mean, actually, I don't mind either.
story quests have humans with like relatable issues like their father dying and stuff like that, and are great. You know, that's why A's A's second character story quest with Makoto in it is debatably the best, or certainly it's in the top tier of Genshin story quests for characters, because it is emotionally underpinned the entire time by Makoto's death and her, you know, the sisterly bond they had. So,
Right.
I
so
cried like a baby,
Oh,
honestly.
what about Alatus and Xiao and the Yakshas and being trapped in the chasm?
they're very cool, but I would never. It'd be very difficult to create a video about them, because you'd have to commission someone to create 3D models for all of them.
Well,
Which
I
would
mean,
be
like, well, kind of like the way it was presented
you know, sorry, I thought
in
you
the
were asking
story.
if I would ever adapt that story of
No, no,
the
I am, I am,
Yakuza.
I
Oh,
am.
okay, you are.
But
Okay.
not no, not the Yakshas, but like that specific story where all of them were trapped, like Yelan and Yanfei, and oh wait, was it Yanfei?
Yeah,
Like a,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
yeah,
Yanfei.
they were trapped underground, and their time was dilated, so like people were experiencing time in different ways, and then you see a vision of your sister when you, or your sibling when you go through that door.
That was such a good
That's what I'm saying. Like
story quest.
that story also is like, I mean, that was like an Archon quest you had to go through, right? Like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I think it
it was
was. And so
amazing.
it
Also,
was
it's like the best
so cool.
best cinematic, debatably, in the game, where
Yeah.
they
So,
break through and
Oh,
escape.
like,
the
would you be
falling
interested
scene.
in adapting that?
Well, it's already been adapted. I don't.
Well,
Oh, you
I
mean
mean,
the entire
like,
quest line? Oh, I see.
yeah, 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 like in like a
No,
story.
I don't think so, because
It's
I'm
voiced already.
satisfied with the way it was in the game
Yeah,
already. So,
that makes sense. Yeah. All right.
but
Well, when they blow up the Fontaine the research facility thing again, then you can do one about that probably.
I think, following my current project, what I will do for a while is just release short, sort of more light-hearted sort of videos, comedy.
Hmm.
I think what a lot of people, myself included, in the community that I'm in with animators, we really, I think we quite like adapting the conversations that Paimon has with the traveler
Oh, that's nice.
in the character screen.
Yeah. Yeah, like, cause those go largely unnoticed. I feel like it's
Yeah.
the most voice acting the Traveler does, so that's why it's also really interesting to me.
Yeah, so I think those would
Um,
be a great target for adaptation in the future. Just picking
oh yeah,
some of the best ones.
just
Uh,
like animating it,
yeah, yeah,
like
just
have like
animating
them
it. So
walking on the road or something, and they're
so
just
m
like talking.
yeah, so my friend, he's called No Tables, and he does that actually. Every now and again, he makes a little animation. You might have seen. Do you remember one recently where Paimon and the traveler were sitting around a campfire, and they're talking about Klee? So he did one of those.
Oh, I see it.
I
Yeah, yeah.
recommend watching that, or maybe posting it to the audience or something afterwards, because that's the sort of thing I would be interested in doing after this project for a
Oh,
while. Just doing little things like this, because they're the kind of things you wish were in the game, and that's what that's what I want to do. I want to create things where people are like, oh wow, I wish this was in the game. You know,
yeah. Oh man, yeah. There are some really funny ones.
absolutely. There's and I mean, I'm a big supporter of the let traveler talk, make traveler talk
Yes. Oh my.
kind of
Like,
gang. So
look. I am playing through Final Fantasy 16 right now.
yeah,
And I will say it is so refreshing to play a game where the main character has their own personality, and they talk a lot, and they just talk to themselves sometimes when you're like, going on a quest or whatever. He has this dog, and he like talks to the dog sometimes too,
yeah,
and it was just like, I'm kind of I get it why they do the silent pro tag thing, but I really feel like um many of these games can not do that, especially Genshin, because they've sort of taken it away from you are the traveler to like the traveler has their own distinct personality, and they give you
yeah.
even like sassy voice lines and things you can choose now.
Yeah, that's the
So
problem. The problem with Genshin is that they wanted a blank insert character, but then they gave the character a backstory and stuff already.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you're right, they're the traveler is their own character, so
Yeah, so I would
I mean
love that,
they
yeah.
won't change course, and they seem to be invested in just sort of maintaining consistency above all else. So
Well,
it's
they give them more now, like
that's
those
true. That's
those
true.
inner monologue sections where you have to
In
choose the
Sumeru,
thought bubbles and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean that was amazing. Sumeru
I yeah,
Sumeru was a big step up generally in everything in
yeah.
Genshin.
Even, like, the way the cutscenes, like, with the camera angles, like, the way
Yeah.
that they move stuff, like, they you can tell they're trying some extra stuff.
I think in terms of storytelling, characterization, world exploration, everything was Sumeru was an upgrade and a big boost to the game. So it'd be very interesting to see what they do in Fontaine and how much they've learned from Star Rail in terms of what they bring over from that into
Oh,
Fontaine.
yeah. Is there a project that you would like to work on in the future that you haven't actually, like, started yet or anything like that? Like, just there's no plans right now, but if you could just do a project about Genshin or even not Genshin, like, just in general, like, is there a project you would like to do
Or if I
this
just
year?
consult my future project ideas notes, I will pick some of the more interesting ones, shall we say.
Okay.
Let's have a look here. Future video ideas. Genius Invocation TCG tournament scene in a big stadium with holograms like the
Oh
Yu-Gi-Oh
my
anime.
god. Oh my alright, I don't even wanna hear anymore, that's it. I want that needs to be the next one right now, and Sino needs to be,
Yeah, so
like, front and
Sino would
center.
be one of the characters, and I guess they would be summoning like the cards, and then the characters from the cards would come out of the cards, like in and they'd have dual discs, I guess. So
Mhm.
that's one idea. And
But wait,
next,
wait, wait, the characters are, like, the characters in the game, so that'd be, like, kinda
yeah,
funny.
yeah,
Yeah, like yeah.
so that's one idea. Another idea is I have you seen have you seen the latest Spider Verse film?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So you know how like they do the "My name is Peter Parker and I'm the world's
Right.
only Spider Man."
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
was thinking of doing a parody of that, but like my name's Luke and I'm the world's only Dark Knight hero. Like he's like the
Oh my
superhero of
god.
Mondstadt, and
That's
yeah,
so good.
and it's sort of uses the same music. So that's another idea we have.
Oh, man, I love that. Spider-Verse is amazing.
Another idea I have is Genshin Impact ending, but it's 2007. You know where like they play Linkin Park. You know that meme where they you know where
Yes,
it's like
yes.
the movie ends and it's playing like Linkin Park and cuts to credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
like that
so
idea, but
funny.
except I put a twist on it by having them having you know Aether and Lumine leave through like a portal, wave goodbye to everyone, and then the next scene it just cuts and you see like the Astral Express, and then they walk onto the Astral Express, and like the gang there turns around, and then that's when it cuts to black.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that would be
Linkin
fun.
Park music, cue Linkin Park music.
Yeah, cue that.
Oh
Um,
my god, that's great.
I
Yeah,
think
I mean, you don't have to share too many. I mean, like, I don't want it to, like I don't want anybody to take them or anything like that.
the thing with ideas is that you can have a million ideas. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if people know the ideas. What matters like is actually putting them into
True.
place. Like so, I don't really mind if people know my ideas because they're not something you can just steal and like do better than the way I would do it. So yeah. Also,
Yeah.
my ideas are weirdly specific because I think I'm older than most Genshin people. Like I'm millennial. I'm not a Gen Z. So I have
Josh
a
and
lot.
I are as well.
I have well, I think a lot of people who are into the lore are quite generally older than the average Genshin player. So so my
Yeah.
influences are more millennial based rather than Gen Z. But yeah.
Yeah. Zed. Yep.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Z.
Gen
Hey,
Z.
you never talked
Gen
to a
Z.
Canadian. Come on.
I mean, I'm living
He
in
talks to
Canada
many
now, so,
Canadians.
Oh, there
yeah.
we go then. They say Z as
Yeah.
well. Don't they say Z? Yeah.
They do. They literally everyone except us. So
Oh yeah. So originally, actually, with my channel, one of the things I wanted to do was do full like Archon quest for each region, sort of montages, like summary
montages.
montages,
Oh.
like recap montages. You know, like so
Mhm.
you could go back and watch like a 5 minute video that presents the monster Archon quest in a cinematic way. Same for all the
Oh,
other regions.
nice.
That's still on my bucket list to do. I just
I
haven't
mean,
had
the
any
the
time to
community
do
would
it.
appreciate it. The new players would probably appreciate it as well. I mean, it's the
Yeah,
fact that you can like that they're okay. So in the new update, they told us they're gonna open up even for new players who have only just finished Mondstadt story quest, who have opened up the rest of the world, will
yeah.
automatically get a teleporter that goes straight to Fontaine.
I thought that
Um,
was a very smart and necessary thing to do.
oh, you
Like,
think so?
yeah, because like all their marketing, like imagine you're a new player and like you're like, wow, look at all this cool Fontaine like trailer and characters from
Uh-huh.
Fontaine, and then like you start the game and it's like, yeah, you have to spend like 200 hours doing other stuff before you can get to all that cool stuff you wanted to do.
That's true.
They just
Well,
drop
this
the
is
game
for the
immediately.
they're
That
like,
happened
I
with.
joined this game for the swimming.
I mean, that's kind of what happened when Hoyo released Inazuma, and they paid a bunch of like big streamers to play for Inazuma, but they didn't give them
The
advanced
access, yeah.
accounts, and so they're like, "I'm so excited to go out and explore Inazuma. How do I get there? How do I
They
get
had to
there?"
take the
Yeah,
boat and go through
yeah,
the
that's
whole story.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
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 So okay,
Okay,
that
see, I
makes
think
sense. Okay.
it's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Cause like if you care about story, it's a terrible idea. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, wait. Okay, in this case, sorry. This is a little different. If it's just about exploration, obviously totally fine. The world scales with your level. If you beat the Mondstadt quest, you know enough about the game to like go adventuring around and kind of take it at your own pace. You can weirdly explore the world backwards in order of reveal. So like you can go to Fontaine first and then go through the desert and then go through Sumru, and I think that's really interesting.
I think that's
Um,
probably one of Genshin's strongest points is the open world nature of the game. That's what it
yeah.
has over every other gacha style game
Mm-hmm.
is that it has an open world. So when you get
Yeah.
a new character in Genshin, it's like, holy wow, I've got an entire new character that I can bring around the world with me, use an
Yeah.
exploration,
Q Wanderer, right?
you know. Yeah, and
Like,
but when
yeah,
you get a character in Star Rail, you're just like, well, it's not as exciting because
yeah.
what are
Oh,
you
I
gonna
can
do with
also
them?
walk
Like
around with
you
them.
just yeah, you can't really do much. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's why Genshin's strength is its open world, and that's why it's mainly I think why they're allowing access to Fontaine is so people who roll for Fontaine characters can get
the
the
right
mats they need to
materials and
upgrade
stuff.
them.
Yeah,
That's the big issue, not the story.
yeah. I mean, if you get Inazuma characters, though, you still can't. You still can't level them up.
Screw Inazuma. Like they're they're a backwater like peasants
The
anyway, so
but it
they can
like
just go to
weird.
hell.
Funnily enough, it makes sense lore wise because like you
It
can't
does.
enter the country. Like you get arrested on site basically. If they let you free
Yeah,
roam around Inazuma, so it's
yeah.
weird.
Lore-wise, Inazuma is supposed to be the most isolated, isn't it?
Right. It is. It is. It is.
It
I
is. Makes
mean,
sense.
it is as far as we know. So like, yeah. Uh yeah, there's just so much. I'm really excited to like come back in like 4 years and just look at the map and be like, "Whew. This is huge. This game's insane." Um
Yeah. I think
but
what
yeah.
I'm most looking forward to is being able to create some sort of Les Mis based video with
Oh my
Fontaine.
god, yes. Yes.
It's all I want. It's just all I want. It's all I want to do.
I need like Linny or someone, I don't know. I don't even know who the characters would be that would fit it still. Like I don't see anybody like I don't see anybody fitting anybody right now really, but
Yeah.
I would love to see the red the blood of angry
Yeah,
men.
there needs to be some sort of rebellion.
Right.
Just
Which
that's all we need. We just need a rebellion.
we got to meet the underground people.
Yeah.
We haven't really met them yet. So,
Well,
I feel like we could you could adapt sort of maybe the story of Bellabog from Honkai Star Rail into Limits. It's not French, but like they
I
have the
could
whole revolution thing going on.
I'm I would like to do some crossover videos where like Star Rail characters meet Genshin characters.
Oh yes, yes, please. That would be
That would be
great.
good, I think. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm generally not as into the lore of Star Rail because I think Ashikai said this, which is the problem with Star Rail's lore is that every time you go to a new planet, all the
Hmm.
lore from the previous planet is like worthless and not related at all. So
Right.
uh,
It doesn't connect, right?
no, it doesn't connect in the same way. Genshin's nations are all connected together. When you go to Fontaine, there's all this like stuff. It's still part of Teyvat, and you see
Yeah.
lots of characters from other places. And yeah, I think
And we've
mm,
met so many Fontaine characters throughout the years, like
yeah,
that have told us kind of things that we have sort of expectations. Um, yeah, I get that. So, yeah. So, is there any like last things that you want to mention to anybody who like, um, is interested in production or like Genshin content creation, like anything you can share, some insight to like people like that.
yes. If there are any good animators listening to this video, please come to my Discord and talk to me. Thank you.
There
But
you go.
I do get people DMing me, and I always try and reply. In terms of advice about editing and stuff like that. Um,
Nice.
just we all get
Well,
started somewhere. To anyone who's like interested in getting started, I started when I was like 14 or 15, making
nice.
like Linkin Park AMVs. You know,
Dude, when I was same. I did like anime music videos, right? Like AMVs.
yeah,
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 that's same, like 100%. Linkin Park was the thing. That's how I learned Linkin Park songs.
yeah.
I
I mean,
was
I
listening
didn't I
to
didn't know Linkin
Naruto
Park
trailer.
existed before I saw Dragon Ball Z
Yeah.
AMVs on 2000. No, this was before YouTube. Actually, this was when people were sending themselves like 2 megabyte video files on MSN. Yeah, that's I'm gonna lose the audience if I keep going. I'm too old. Like,
No, no, I got you. I was using, OG Windows Movie Maker,
oh
and
yeah,
I got
definitely.
some animated GIFs, animated GIFs,
And then at
like
the top
music,
it says like recorded in Bandicam, like
right?
fraps, like
Oh God.
watermark.
The memories.
Yeah, that
But
was
where are
me.
those to share the memories?
Shared
Oh, they're right here.
memories.
We can
Can I
share
just
the
say, you remind
memories.
me? I think I'd like to say that my most underrated video was my New Year's Eve video, which like no one's seen,
Oh,
but it's
I was gonna say
I
that.
quite
I
like it.
actually I actually really liked that video, and I was actually I almost forgot about it, and then I looked at your videos and I was like, I remember watching that, and just like feeling feels, you know what I mean? Because that's what it's for. It's like,
Yeah, it's just about it. I love. Yeah, it's about the vibe, Zhongli vibe, very strong Zhongli vibe of time marching forward and memories and stuff. It's
mm-hmm.
good. And I
I
mean,
like,
to be fair, Genshin has a lot of that, because a lot of Genshin is to do with times gone by, with especially
mm-hmm.
the long-lived characters are all about, you
Oh
know,
yeah, they're
that.
like back in my day, 500 years ago.
Yeah, and we have a lot of firework events in Genshin, which lends itself to New Year's Eve setting as well.
Yoimiya, Q Yoimiya.
Yoimiya plus Lantern, right?
Yep.
Look,
Yeah.
I just want to say real quick that um Yoimiya is like our second story quest with Yoimiya, where she like actually asks you how your journey has been, and then like talks to you about meeting your sibling and all this stuff. Like I was just like, wow, that's like this is the only character that cares.
This is the only character that cares.
Like like how many characters have we seen over and over again, and nobody's like, hey, how's your journey going? No, 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 they're like, hey, I have a problem and I need you to fix it, and it's like this whole thing. And Yoimiya's just like, oh, that's cool, I hope you find them. Like I'm an
She
actual
acknowledges
good
it.
listener. Yeah, yeah. She's an active
You know what?
listener.
Talking about characters actually acknowledging the traveler. I was interested in the Fontaine trailer with how they seem to. I think there was a bit of dialogue where they're like, "Oh, they're recognizing the traveler as essentially this international celebrity
Mm-hmm.
now." They're like, welcome to Fontaine, like rolling out the red carpet, maybe.
Right. Yeah, Charlotte mentioned that before, like that
Yeah.
they're already been their exploits have been posted about on the newspaper.
So
And so yeah.
yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see if you are like when we arrive in Fontaine, we're like like mobbed by fans or whatever. That would be
Well,
very. I would love to see sort of acknowledgement that of the
Of our
travelers'
of our deeds so far, right? Like
insane exploits. Like,
It's funny because like some people don't know where to go in their head for the story other than like we get accused of something. But I think it would be weird for us to get accused of something if everybody knows we're already the good guys. So, how does that work? Like
well,
they're
well,
just like,
well, we're gonna
mm,
get set up, aren't we?
yeah, that's true. That also makes sense.
And it
Of
seems to
course.
be something to do with, or at least the trailer made it seem like it was something to do with Lynette
Hmm.
like
Right.
disappearing during an act or something in the theater.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That wasn't part of the act, right? um, but okay, yeah. Well, I mean that like as far as if you're an animator, DM Subutai, and then
Yes,
you
please
know,
do.
and
I need more
for those of you
deadlines.
guys that are interested in Subutai's videos, make sure you check them out on YouTube. Is there anywhere else people can follow you that you would like them to follow you on, like Twitter or anything like that?
Yes, please
Or
follow me on Twitter and TikTok at it's at Subutai Edits on Twitter and also TikTok as well. Thank you.
nice. Okay, so um that being said, so we do have the links in the chat for Subutai's socials. And thank you again for joining us. It was really fun to have you here. It was fun to talk about like the production side of things, but also like your interest in the lore.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for inviting me, and I hope when I release my current project, you guys enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, thank you. We're
We are
looking
looking
forward to it.
forward to it.
Yes, yes, the best
I'm
quest in
looking
the
forward to
game.
it. Everyone's looking forward to it. My animators, I posted like the current progress of the video
Uh
in
huh.
our, on our Discord, and Bonnie was like, "Holy shit, this is amazing! This is incredible!" I'm like, "What do you mean? You've been working on this. Why do you think it's good?" So there you go.
Hey, they can be proud of their work.
They can be.
Um, so all right, so that is about the end of our podcast for today. Just one more time, want to thank the managers of One More Cup of Coffee. Would like to thank Soft CQ and Reyes for making the chibis on the podcast stage. Their socials will be posted in the chat, and we also just want to say thank you to everyone who is listening and joining us um in the podcast today. So we'll hopefully see you all soon and have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Bye bye.
Thank you.